Hi, Phyllis here from southernfrugal.com. Today we're going to make, I'm not sure what to call it, hamburger pie, but it's not, it's somewhat like beef stew. It's going to have a crust on it. And the crust is really the best part of the whole pie, I think. The filling's good, but the crust is super good. So let me get my butter out and my egg yolk and water, and I'll be right back. Alright, so we're going to need ice water, 1 egg yolk, and that's from a large egg, and 1 stick of very cold butter. I had to close my refrigerator. Yeah, so this is going to be the top of the hamburger pie. So the first thing you want to do is cut this butter. Alright, this is 1 1/3 cups of all-purpose flour. Can y'all see that? This time of year I keep my flour in a plastic bag. Anyway, all-purpose flour. Now, to measure this, I just dipped the cup measure in the bag, and the 1/3 cup measure is not sifted first, so that's going to be actually more than 1 1/3 cups of flour, but I've just started doing it that way, so that's the way it is. Alright, let me get my tablespoon measure out. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is cut this butter up into small little squares. So I just cut it one way, and I just put it on the paper so it doesn't mess up my board. So a piece of paper on the butter. And then I cut it this way, and then I cut it into small little squares. Yeah, I started making this because I ran out of Crisco, which is what I usually make pie crust with, and I had plenty of butter, so I decided to use butter, and it was so good. So yesterday I made a chicken pie this way, and we both absolutely loved it. And of course it will make 6 good servings, so I froze 2 of them, 2 servings for us, and the other 2 we had for supper last night. It was really that good. Alright, so we got our flour here in a little bowl. Get a spoon here. So I'm going to drop these little butter squares. That's how little they are. In the flour, and as I'm doing it, I'm going to mix it up. And you want to do this pretty quick because you want that butter to stay cold. And we're going to use, I'll just go ahead and do that now. We're going to use 1 teaspoon of salt. And even though the butter's salted, I'm still putting a whole teaspoon. This is just the iodized sea salt. So I'm still putting a whole teaspoon of butter in there. Salt. I know. If y'all watched my previous video, this morning when I did the smoothies, I had this shirt on. I actually had it on backwards. I couldn't believe it when I watched that video, but I'm not really a morning person, so. Alright, so I'm just getting that butter coated real quick with the flour. So yeah, 1 stick of butter equals 1/2 cup of butter. And of course you could use margarine, but it's not going to taste as good. Alright, let's just go ahead and get all of this in there now. Separating those little butters and stirring it as I go so that they don't clump together. Alright. Now we're going to go ahead and just cut this in with a pastry brush. And normally, like with Crisco, I would actually use my hands, but the butter will, start melting a little bit from the heat of the hands. So I'm going to use the pastry cutter to just slightly cut this in. You don't want to cut it in too much because you want to have some of that butter make this crust really, really flaky. Whoops. Alright, that's about enough right there. Just breaking up those big chunks just a little bit. Oop, another overboard. Alright, so now that's about all we're going to do. Alright, so now what we're going to do is add some water to this little egg yolk here. And by the way, I've got my oven preheating to 425 degrees. I'll get a little fork, and to this egg yolk, I'm going to add probably 5, maybe even 6 tablespoons of water. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's go ahead and add one more. 6. And then just beat that up a little bit. Alright. Now we're going to just dump that right down the middle of our flour and butter and salt mixture. And just stir it around a little bit. Now I'm going to end up using my hands, and I'm going to end up using a little more flour. Now yesterday when I made this and made the chicken pie, I actually mixed it up and then put it back in the refrigerator, but because we're recording, of course, I'm not going to do that. Alright, let me get this up. I've already got my saran wrap down on the flat surface here. Alright, so now we just want to get this mixed up. I just scrunch it all together like that. And you'll be able to feel those big chunks of butter in there, but that's okay. That's what you're looking for. Now we're going to bake this pie in a 9 by 13 inch Pyrex casserole. Alright, so let me get that off my hands real quick. Get it kind of together. Yeah, you have to do this really fast so that butter doesn't melt, because that's what's going to create those flaky layers in the crust. And this is just going to be a top crust in this pie. Once it comes all together, you kind of get up all that flour that's in there. So kind of get it all together. Then I'm going to use a little more flour just to kind of sprinkle over the top of it. And I'm also going to sprinkle a little bit on the saran wrap. Now I don't normally do that, but with this one with the butter you kind of have to do that. Alright, so sort of get your little crust here into somewhat of an oblong shape. And I just mash it out with my fingers. See, there's a big clump of butter right there. There's one. Get that off my hands. Alright. Put just a teeny bit more flour right on the surface of that. Okay, so now, wipe my hands off just a little bit. Now I'm going to use more saran wrap on the top of the crust. Rolling pin out of the way. Yeah, so this pie is going to have hamburger in little squares. It's going to have potatoes, carrots, and green onions. Alright, let me get this Straighten out here. And I'm going to roll this out a little bigger than the top of my pan. Let me show you the pan. There's right there. That's the Pyrex dish I'm going to use. It's 9 by 13. Alright, so to roll this out, start in the middle, roll a little bit, turn it around, roll a little bit, and get that other part, get that corner, and then just keep rolling it until you get it the size you want it. And again, I want it just a little bit bigger than the actual dish I'm going to cook this in. So we need it a little longer. Now let's see what we got here. Okay, it's long enough, but I got too much on the sides there and a little too much on this end, so we're going to carve it up a little bit. Let's take the saran wrap off of it. Now that butter is already getting soft. And just pinch it, pinch it, pinch it right there. Put a little bit of flour on it. Actually, just dip your fingers in water, touch it there, put a little bit of flour on it, and mend it. Okay, and we got it a little too big on the sides, so I'll put that over on that corner. A little bit of flour on it. So now, we somewhat got it in a oblong shape. I'm just going to brush that flour off a little bit. Put the plastic back on it. Roll it out a little flatter. I want it to be just a little bit bigger than the Pyrex dish itself. What I'll do is tuck those little extra edges under once we put it over the pie. Alright, that ought to do it. A little end there too long. Yeah, it's really getting soft now, so I'm going to have to hurry, hurry, hurry. Alright, so the next thing to do is I'm going to take this whole crust and put it in the refrigerator. I'll take the top off of it, and I just take my saran wrap and go like that, like that, like that. Smooth that flour out, because this is going to be the underside of the crust. So when we flip it out onto the Pyrex dish, this will be underneath. Alright, so now I'm just going to wrap it up, and I'm going to put it in the refrigerator, just laying it flat. And the best way to do that is just put it on a cookie sheet. So this is going to stay in the refrigerator until we're ready to put it on the Pyrex dish. So there you go. Alright, I'm going to get ready to fry out my hamburger. I'll go ahead and peel my potatoes, because you'll want 2 cups of cubed potatoes, about 1 cup of carrots, and a bunch, let's see, that's about 8 or 10 green peppers, and some Old Bay spice, and some red wine. Now I'm gonna, I think I'll tell you what's in the Old Bay, because I did find that out, or I'll just list it. Yeah, maybe, I don't know. I don't know how I'll do it, but I'll show y'all what's actually in it. I actually looked it up on the internet. All right, so this is going to go in the refrigerator when we come back. Hopefully I'll have the hamburger fried out. Now this hamburger was frozen in one of those salad containers, and actually the whole thing was full. I had 3 layers, and this is the 70% lean, 30% fat hamburger. And what I do is cook it a lot, get it good and brown, and get a lot of the fat out of it, but it tastes really good. It's that Walmart hamburger. So cook the carrots and cook the potatoes, get the hamburger all cooked and brown, and after I take the hamburger up, I'm going to put slice up the green onions. Did I say peppers a while ago? It's onions, green onions. First I got to wash them and cut those ends off. And I'll put those in and just cook them just a little bit, and then we'll put the whole thing together. Alright, so we'll be back in a little while. Alright, my hamburger is pretty well done now, and I've got a splatter screen. I put paper towels over it because otherwise all that grease would be on my stove, especially because I'm cooking high-fat hamburger. So I'm going to go ahead and take those up, get them good and brown. I've got my burner turned off, so I'm going to drain the grease. I usually just put it in a little Pyrex bowl, and then I put it in the refrigerator and let it get hard, and then I put it in the garbage. Okay, so now what we're going to do is put these green onions in the skillet. Now this is about 9 or 10 green top onions. So I'm letting my hamburger cool over there because I'm going to cut it up in little pieces in just a minute. Alright, so I'm going to dump those in. This goes in the refrigerator in just a minute. I don't want these to burn, I just want them to cook just a little bit. And the moisture around will kind of take up some of that brown off the bottom of the skillet and give some added flavor there. To make it come up even more, I'm going to add a little bit of the water the potatoes were cooked in, just a little bit. There we go. So I'm going to turn that burner back on, let these cook for just a few minutes. So I'm going to drain the water that the potatoes cooked in. And I'm going to go ahead and dump those out into my casserole dish. I've got it right back over here. So I'll just dump those out. And I'm going to drain the water out of my carrots. And I'm going to go ahead and dump those in. Get a spoon. Just going to spread those out and get them so evenly distributed. Let those cool. Alright, so I'll let these onions cook just another minute or so. Now I'm going to take my hamburger. It's hard to see it on that black plate, I know. Yeah. So this was probably a little less than a pound of hamburger. And I'm just going to cut that hamburger into little, small, bite-sized pieces. And then I'm going to cut it back this way. It's hot. Yeah, this hamburger is from Walmart, and I'm going to tell you it was really good, but I don't particularly like any of their other meats other than their hamburger, and I'm not sure why that is, but it is. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and get these cut up. I'm going to dump my onions, my green onions, in with the carrots and the potatoes. And I've saved my water, and I'm going to add some more water to this to make 3 cups. And we're going to get ready to make our little sauce, gravy, whatever you want to call it. So we'll be back. All right, we are ready to make our sauce to go in this hamburger type pie. There's what the filling looks like. It's the potatoes, carrots, green onions, and the hamburger. And this was the fatty kind of 70% lean, 30% fat hamburger. So I browned that and cut it up into little squares. So now for the sauce, we've got 5 tablespoons of butter. And I'm going to add 5 tablespoons of all-purpose flour to that. We're going to let that cook just a little bit. Actually, I don't think I'm going to add all that flour. Let's wait and see if we need it all. So what you want to do is just let this flour get a little bubbly. And then we're going to add the water, and the water from the potatoes and the water from the carrots that they were cooked in. So I'm going to set that right there. Stir this around and let it get all bubbly. All right, as soon as this gets all good and bubbly, we'll be back. All right, my flour and butter have been simmering for just a couple of minutes. Well, they've actually been boiling, and you could let this get a little brown if you wanted to. So now to this butter and flour mixture, and by the way, I did add the whole 5 tablespoons of flour. I'm going to put in the 3 cups of water. Just mix that around a little bit. Now, this, of course, will quit steaming here in just a second. And I'm going to add the Old Bay seasoning. I'm going to go ahead and put in a teaspoon and then another half teaspoon. And just a word about this, because Old Bay contains black pepper, which I'm extremely allergic to. I have to put it in when it's not really steaming up, and but you could put this spice in, as soon as your flour and butter start kind of, bubbling up good. Would probably be better. All right, now because none of my vegetables or my meat have any salt at all in them, I'm going to make the sauce pretty salty. So I'm going to add about a teaspoon or better of salt to this sauce. All right, so we're going to let this come up to a boil and thicken up a little bit, and then we're going to add something else. So hold on. All right, well, I had to move over to the other side because my burners are still hot. All right, so we're ready to put the crust on there. It's what it looks like. It's been in the refrigerator while all this was cooking. Now, you only get one shot at this, so you have to get it right. All right, so we're going to pick it up with the paper and all, the saran wrap and all, center it right over the filling. That's going to start thawing out really, really quick. Pull that saran wrap off. And any little flour there, you can just take your little pastry brush and kind of dust it off. It'll fade away when you cook it anyway. All right, so now we want to press that up against the sides. Now the pan that this is cooking in has not been greased or anything, and some of the filling might run up on the top of the crust. Hope that it don't, but it might. And we cut little holes in here to, let the steam out. So you can still see some of the butter in there. So make my holes just a little bit bigger. And so we're going to bake this 425 degrees for about an hour. I see my filling might come up over there because that crust wasn't quite long enough. All right, so once this is done, we'll be back. Okay, the little hamburger pie has completed cooking now. I think it cooked about 45 minutes. I did have the oven on 325 degrees, but see this nice brown crust? All right, so I took it out about 5 minutes ago. We're gonna let it cool just a little bit longer. I'm gonna fix a salad and our iced tea, and we'll be having lunch, and I'll show you what it looks like on the plate. And by the way, see that right there? It did come up over the crust of that little corner a little bit. But the rest of, oh, this corner too. Anyway, the crust is what's so good. All right, we'll be back in a minute. All right, here's the hamburger pie. And there's that crust. We're having it with a salad. This is some of the same baby greens we had in the smoothie this morning. I absolutely love them. And we've got some vine-ripened tomatoes. Now these are probably going to be the last of the tomatoes that we get from South Carolina that were ripened in the field, because we're probably getting ready to have our first frost here pretty soon. So that's probably, I think I've got about 6 or 8 more in the refrigerator, and that'll be it. So we'll be eating hothouse tomatoes this winter, I guess. All right, so there's my plate. We've got our iced tea. There's what we got left. So we got 4 servings left. I'll freeze 2 of them, and then 2 of them we'll probably have tomorrow at lunch while Mr. Bucky's watching football. All right, so there it is. And I can tell you there's I think I put a teaspoon and a half of salt in the sauce, and I think a teaspoon would have worked fine. Of course, Mr. Bucky will like it this way, but I don't like to use too much salt if I can help it. All right, so there it is. We will see y'all next time.